Did Peter say he was gonna?
I was very good.
Okay. All right. Weird. Okay. It is 7:01, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Community Housing Board to order. The first item is to review the minutes. So I'll just ask everyone to take a peek.
I believe point 3 addressed our comments from last time.
Mm-hmm.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Awesome. Okay, easy one. So we, the fund update is we got about 26,000 in donations, another $4,000 in interest. So it brings us to 1,234,000 approximately. So that's kind of where we are. ADU plus one update. Is, so technically our first round closed at the end of August, beginning of September.
Yep.
But we're kind of still waiting to hear from the state because we have so many that are like in process or waiting for a septic grant or, you know, kind of in the mix there that we're kind of waiting to hear back to see if they're going to consider those folks part of the first round or move them to the second round. So I will let you guys know as I know, but they're really on it. We've been doing updates every 2 weeks, and I just got today, which I'll forward to, I'll forward it to Mark and Peter, who do the updates with me. Not only are we getting updates from Casey from the CDLI team, but I just got a long update, which I haven't even read, from Dave Rosen, who manages construction for them, because it's like, that's like, I can even just tell you, like, these are the ones that are not signed, but like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So, and the only reason, obviously, just to be fully transparent, is just because we do have waivers to talk about some of these in committee, but not, I don't want to talk about everybody's personal stuff. So that's why we're not talking about them here, because privacy. But anyway, there are quite a few. So that's great. So hoping we'll hear back, and they seem hopeful that at least some of them will be considered part of that first round. So that would be ideal. So I'll keep everybody posted on that. And the next ADU meeting is, our update meeting is the 24th at 10 a.m. for Mark and Peter and I. And the other thing is I think it's tomorrow. Oh my gosh, am I losing my mind? You made the poster.
The 9th.
So
it's a couple.
it was 2
Tuesday.
days ago. So Casey did another office hours over at the library. He's only doing one in September just because he's got some scheduling stuff. But it has been really successful in moving the applications along, especially for those applicants who maybe aren't email forward in their life. They're like verbally forward. So that's been really helpful. So. Great. Actually, Espen or Bill, do you want to give an update on the MOU?
Yeah, it's now a letter of intent. We had.
Was that the meeting today?
Yeah, no, we had another meeting with the attorneys today. It was a bit longish, but I thought extremely productive. At this point, there is I don't think a lot of work for Miriam to do.
Did you see she already turned around the edits?
Oh, no, I didn't get it.
No, they're in there, they're in your inbox.
Like I said, I didn't think there was a lot of edits that you would have to do. It's in my mailbox. I haven't looked since this afternoon's meeting. And I would think we would be likely, we have a meeting scheduled for a week from Monday at 9 o'clock to go over it. I would hope that we won't have to have that meeting, that we'll just be able to look at it and make whatever minor changes still need to be made via email. After that comes the real hard part. After that is when we start working on the various different contracts and
Well,
a
actually,
feasibility.
So with that, we're gonna send that to them,
Yeah.
and then we might have some revs based on what they're coming.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to have a
So-
few things, but it becomes the hard part, which is
Yeah.
working on the contracts. And hopefully, something that has been put forward that I think made a lot of sense is to do two basically segments. The first segment being focused on the feasibility and what has to be done with financial models and where we need to go with that. And then the longer, more protracted, because these are going to be very complicated contracts that we're going to have to work through. The hope is once we send it over to the letter of intent to CDLI, and they come back, that within 7 months from that time period, we will be wrapped up in terms of the contracts and know where we're going and be able to maybe have a shovel on the ground next year.
And to add,
Yeah.
that the feasibility and the agreements can be concurrent, right?
Yeah,
We'll be
they're
establishing the
parallel paths.
Yeah.
Meg and I kept going back and forth on parallel paths.
And one of the things I wanted to talk about was kind of just to have like this group start really thinking about this. And I think it's also something to bring to the town board as well, is to kind of be thinking about those contracts are really complicated, right? And so it's gonna require a lot of internal revisions, meeting with council, sending to them, getting that back. And I wanted us to kind of all start thinking about a plan to actually get through some of, because there's the development agreement, the management agreement, the ground lease, and then like the covenants and restrictions. So there's like 4 documents, the first 2 being like the most, complicated. And so one of the things I wanted to kind of put out there was the idea of having, maybe it's like basically like almost like a standing meeting with our council so that we have time set aside to start the work, because otherwise I am, even with a 7-month horizon, like these are complicated contracts. And so I just wanted to kind of put that out there. That was one of the ways that I was thinking about it. But if anybody had alternate ways, and I guess this is like for this group and also especially for Meg and Ben to be considering it, of how we were imagining that we were going to kind of actually get through the work of kind of getting these revisions in there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I would also say Miriam is probably going to come back to us and ask us what we think and what we want on a number of different things, especially when it comes to ongoing reporting on the management side of things, because that's going to be going on for seemingly forever. And I think we need to give a little bit of thought now in advance of even the iterations starting about, what do we want? What do we want to see? What do we want to get from them? How is the interaction going to work? They're going to manage, but we're going to want to know information. So how do we want that?
I would think about, at least how I'm thinking about it, is I would think that some of those standing meetings might be without council,
Yeah.
right? Where we're talking through these kind of items. The other thing that might be helpful for especially issues like that would be to invite some of our colleagues from other towns to give us like options of just like Southampton, how do you do it? East Hampton, how do you do it? Like, would you have any suggestions of things that you've done or wish you had done? Because I think that some of this, especially, you know, having this be our first thing, like it's going to be, if we have to create it from whole cloth, it might, like maybe we crib somebody else's homework a little bit on this one.
No, I totally agreed. At the
Yeah.
last meeting, I was going to lead to that because we both went through lessons learned.
Yes,
Yeah.
And because East Hampton and Southampton in
And
particular.
there's a lot of other communities that have done
Right.
stuff like that. That's-
What, you know, if you had to do it all over again, what would you be looking at, you know, to make life a little bit smoother and easier at this point? So I totally am on board. We should try to crib where we can.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think when we get to this kind of like on the other side of like letter of intent, so it's September, probably rev back and forth with them, probably through October. I know you guys do have budget seasons and that goes through like November.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be done in October.
Okay.
And hopefully we're not hearing enough, but who knows? The
Right.
last date for us to have our public hearing on the budget is November 5th.
Okay.
So it'll be either before or on November 5th.
So maybe we should preliminarily be looking at starting to set some of those set meetings starting in November. That seems like about the right time. You guys will have a little bit more bandwidth. We should be on the other side of the letter intent or close to.
On the other side.
And then, I mean, I was even thinking it's almost like a twice a month kind of situation.
the more effort we put into it, the.
Early.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, I would hope, I mean, because of your experience on the development contract, you could, you know, just start putting together some checklists of things that you think are going to be essential.
Or, you know, one of the other things we could even consider, and like I said, I'm just kind of putting this out here, is, and I'm biased by my own schedule, which is ruled by the IRS, is that I definitely have more time in November and December, obviously around holidays, if we wanted to try to even put in some more meetings, especially thinking that we would be doing the feasibility at the same time. So there might even be more work than that. So I just wanted to kind of put that out. So maybe we can come back to that next meeting, kind of maybe be thinking about, we can be suggesting some times that might work for the group. But I think that that feels like the natural next step to kind of just get this, have a plan for being able to have a cadence to actually move it forward. Because I feel like I could see if we were doing like ad hoc scheduling, how it could be challenging. I can't think of any other updates we have on that one. Okay. I can't even believe it. It is time to start thinking about the next housing plan.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have, just as a reminder, we have secured the grant funding to do a housing, to hire someone to do a housing assessment. We need to issue an RFP to get people to propose
RFQ.
an RFP. Stop with your nonsense. We're not doing that again. We're not doing that. No more wire hangers, Mark. Okay.
That was cruel.
Still too fresh.
Too fresh, too soon. So we need to draft an RFP to do the housing plan. Like really, actually, we need to kind of be getting it together now. My thought was,
Top of the last one.
well, we're doing something different, right? Because we want to do an actual community
Oh, okay.
assessment. So it's going to, like, that one was to do the plan. This is going to be to do like a kind of a population assessment. So that basically when we start the next plan, we can be like, hey, community, we have looked at all this stuff and we realize that in this, like this many years, we'll have, I don't know, right? Do demographics,
Yeah.
basically, and also needs, demographics and needs. So that basically we have that information in hand, so that when we get the community together to do that next round of the plan, that we can give them that to like figure out priorities and, I don't know, data seems cool. So my thought was I was going to call Curtis in Southampton and Katie in East Hampton and be like, guys, do you have a RFP for a housing assessment that I might be able to crib? And then I would circulate it and send it to our lawyer with edits.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody feels about that, but that was my thinking.
That sounds like the
It was like,
best idea.
right, great, okay, cool. So I will do that. I will grab that and then I'll just circulate that via email. And then, so just everybody imagine that at our next meeting, we're gonna be going through that. So I will send it around. If you feel it in your heart to give notes via email, amazing. I will pass it by Miriam and we can hopefully get close there.
What is when does the next plan start?
The next plan, I think, would need to be created next summer.
Okay.
I mean, I like a timetable.
Yeah.
So if we were gonna do it in 5 years is when we're supposed to do it, we would do the work of creating it over the summer with the adoption happening, like the kind of pulling it together and having like kind of the community hearings on it in the fall with adoption in like October, November-ish, I think would line up with about 5 years.
One of the things we're gonna have to do is make sure it lines up with the funding. So we're gonna have to check and see when the funding is gonna be released so we can spend it. So we'll try to sync that with the plan so that we have the money at the same time.
Well, so this one is actually this is just for the community survey.
Right, the survey is what has the money linked to it. So we
Yeah.
gotta make sure that we have the money released at the same time that we put out for the RFP. So Barbara's checking into when that
Yeah.
money is going to come through so we can spend it.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's right, all the
Yeah.
timing is, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to have like the RFP ready to
Oh,
party.
no, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
I don't want to be like, they're like, we have the cash, and I'm just like,
That the money is like ready.
right, but isn't the
ready.
money's supposed to be in 25?
Yes,
So,
it's weird money, so we have to make sure that it's
Yeah.
released at the right time.
yeah. So, but I don't want it to wait on us, because especially if we have to back into, my hope would be is that whoever we hired as the consultant would be presenting that information to us.
Yeah, and we gotta find the right people to do this because
Yeah.
obviously, it's a very specialized kind of
Yeah.
field.
And so that was the other thing that I was gonna do is just like also ask Curtis and Casey in East Hampton if they, and so if anybody else has any other, I was also thinking to maybe Michael Daly is working, he's a housing advocate, he's working with the county now, he might have some contacts. If anybody else has any ideas in that very specific housing world to kind of ask around it, either for a copy of an RFP or folks that we might want to send it to,
That's,
do your thing, get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's all
Southampton.
start thinking about that as like the next
Yeah.
task.
Southampton's, their entire housing plan is public information.
Well, it's not the housing plan we need, it's the RFP for the housing assessment.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Housing needs
a
assessment.
housing needs assessment RFP so that we don't have to write one if we don't have to. Because
We just changed the name of the town.
hi. Good one.
That's the best ever.
You know what, we're totally overthinking this.
In the right population stuff,
Love, 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 love.
when do you think you might get something from one of them?
When
This is a very personal question.
I have no idea.
I'm hoping, I'm going away, that's why. I'm not going to be
Well,
for the next
you
week, and
can-
I'd like to see it if, so I
I
can comment
have
before.
no
Okay,
idea.
Yeah.
right? So it's Thursday. I don't know what their schedules look like. I'll reach out to them. Maybe tomorrow I've got a doctor's appointment. Maybe beginning of next week. When they will get back to me? Question marks. We don't know. Maybe they got something, maybe they don't. Yeah, so no,
And Miriam might be helpful in terms of who else to send it to.
yeah. Well, let's start with kind of getting
Let's get
a
it.
draft
Yeah.
of something and think about what we want and what we need. I mean, I feel like it's probably pretty straightforward. Sometimes I think things are gonna be straightforward and they're not. So have a little time to mess with it, you know, take a look
Yeah.
at it. I did have one piece of like new but related business to the housing plan. That I didn't put on the agenda because it like literally was a call that I got this week. Which is that I've been in contact with, oh my gosh, I'm spacing, Kelly from the senior center. Is that right? Is that real? Yes, thank you. So she and I have been chatting. I went over to congregate lunch to talk to the folks there about the ADU session. And she and I just have been like kind of talking about seniors and housing. And one of the things that we've been talking about was potentially trying to figure out how to, as part of like maybe, again, there's just casual discussions, but ahead of the housing plan, to kind of have some conversations with the folks at the senior center, just to kind of maybe just start to understand conversationally kind of what some of the needs or the challenges are. I know that one of the things that we've talked about amongst ourselves was that we think that there might be, that might be, I would imagine that is going to be one of the targeted populations in the next housing plan. I don't know, maybe the community will say something different. My vibes say yes. And so I thought it might be useful for us to do something like that, just so that we would have a little bit of extra time to also kind of, depending on what we hear, like also do some looking in other communities to see how they've solved some of the things that maybe we hear. Because I have a feeling like some of this, it just, like I said, just even in our casual discussions, some of the housing issues that seniors are facing are kind of complicated. And so I was just thinking it couldn't hurt us to have extra time to kind of be able to maybe gather some solutions to be able to present as options to the community next summer. So,
Yeah, and filter them by our unique restrictions like density and
All that.
a lot of them can just put up 10 units on one lot.
exactly, yeah.
We have
And
to,
so,
a lot
yeah.
to read through.
yeah, and then there's also like different programs around like selling your house and putting in a fund, but there's like all this kind of stuff, but maybe it's just we're starting to like talk to communities, like I said, depending on what we hear, to kind of start vetting some potential solutions to be able to present to the community for the next housing plan. So I just wanted to just put out there that she and I are in conversation. She's kind of like, we've been kind of talking about like, oh, what would be the best way to have that conversation? So she's going to talk to some of her team there, and we'll just kind of, I'll get back to us and just see what she feels like is useful. But I thought that actually would be helpful. Yeah. And then, because I love to keep it on the agenda, I just put to Ben and Meg, looking for our update on the pro-housing resolution.
We haven't discussed this in a while because now we're working on the budget and we've been focusing more on the MOU, so we'll still
Got
go
it.
back to it, but it's.
Just to confirm, last time we spoke, there were questions, like I know we talked about we were going to do it, and then there were questions that came up, and then that's just where we are. Like, are those questions been addressed?
Pretty much. No, I don't think that they've been addressed yet. We got sidetracked. We'll bring it back up at the next meeting.
Okay. Old business? Any old business that we missed?
I don't think so.
New business? I'm gonna just do a little recap. So we have is like kind of our homework is I would just kind of put to everybody to start thinking about some dates and times, like as a set meeting that we could do to start working on this contract work starting in November. And kind of just be thinking about if you feel like, you guys have, I really want you guys to both be here. You guys, I would like you guys to be here too. But I think especially with development and legal expertise, but I think that would be really good. I think that I would like especially your guys' help with the development.
Plan and
management.
design. You did so much work on plan and design.
Yeah, but I think also just like on the management and like thinking through what it's gonna be, what our expectations are for
Yeah.
residents. So anyway, just be thinking about what your life looks like, what's possible, what's not possible. I'm 1,000% gonna ask everybody next meeting. The other thing that's kind of like the homework is I am going to somehow get before the next meeting some kind of draft RFP for us to give notes on for the housing assessment. So watch your inbox if you can. Give notes before we get here.
Yeah.
Cool. If not, come prepared, read it, we'll talk through it. So that's definitely what we'll do next time. And friends, I think that is what we got.
Meetings.
I'm out here trying. Do we have any questions? Jeb? Karen, Julie?
Fine, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, does anybody feel motiony?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I second that motion. All in favor? Have a great evening. Thanks for all your work in between.